Hello, and welcome to the Embrace Balance, Discover Joy podcast. I'm Amanda Butland, your host and intuitive life coach. Well, hello, and welcome to another episode of the Embrace Balance, Discover Joy podcast. Today, my special guest is Stanley Bronstein, an attorney and CPA who's turned life coach and author. Stanley, it's so great to have you with me today.
Good to be here, Amanda. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so I'm excited to get started, but before we do, I always like to ask my guests my little icebreaker question. Would you mind sharing with us what activity or hobby brings you the most joy and why?
Walking, because walking made me healthy and keeps me healthy. And it's very meditative and it's very relaxing.
I love that. I like that you said it's meditative because I think, not maybe not everybody thinks of meditating while walking. Um, because usually they're thinking, you're sitting in a quiet space. I wonder if you might maybe share a little bit about, how you're able to incorporate meditation into your walking.
It just sort of happens. I mean, if you're out walking, especially if you're out in nature,
Mm,
and if you're by yourself or even with your dog or your spouse or whoever, it's quiet. As I like to say, when you walk as much as I do, you meet some very interesting people. And the most interesting person you meet is yourself.
I
You
love
spend
that.
you spend time with yourself, you get to think and you clear your head. And that's when I get very creative.
Mm, I love that. Almost like being in the shower.
Yes.
What could the creative part, the quiet alone time by
But
yourself?
but but it, but it wastes less water.
Right. All right, well, let's just dive right in because you mentioned sort of walking and sort of your health journey. So I was wondering, would you mind sharing us, that transition? Because, it's really interesting having been an attorney and CPA and now a life coach and author. And I know that walking ties into that. So would you mind maybe sharing a little bit about your journey and, that means and how you got there?
Okay. From the age of 8 up until I was 50, getting ready to turn 50, I lived a life of major obesity. And when I say major, here's how much. Here's a picture when I maxed out at about 367 pounds. I had a 58-inch waist and I'm only 5'7". And then here I am on the other side. I'm about 145 pounds with a 31-inch waist.
Wow.
No drugs, no surgeries, just getting my head on straight, learning to eat properly, and walking. Lots of getting my head on straight, lots of learning to eat right, and lots of walking. And
Wow.
so, how did I get started on this life of obesity? Well, like many people, I had a trauma. And that trauma was my mother died when I was 8. And needless to say, that messed with my head big time. And I pretty much shut down emotionally. And I was living with my massively obese father. So he was not exactly setting a good example for me on how to eat properly. And to be honest with you, my mother was pretty big too. Um, so from the time of 8, if you look at the pictures, I started getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. By the time I got in high school, I was, well into my 200s. And I had friends, but it impacted my dating relationships, that type of thing. Women didn't want to date me. And then I went off to college, same story. Had friends, lots of friends. Women didn't want to date me, kind of thing. Till my senior year in college, I lost a bunch of weight. But unfortunately, I went on a car trip that summer with a friend of mine, and there were cookies in the back seat. And the cookies and I had an intimate relationship um, where I loved the cookies, but the cookies did not love me back and set me right back on the path that I was on before. And I gained all that weight back and I gained even more, bigger and bigger. Then I graduated from college Um, Became a CPA, an accountant, and went through my first job. And then I started a real estate company with one of my older brothers. And we, in the middle of it, we got in an argument one day, as brothers do sometimes. And in the middle of the argument, he's screaming at me, as brothers do sometimes. And he's going, "You ought to go to law school." And I said, "Okay." I showed him. I signed up for law school. It took me 4 years because I went at night, part time, and I became a lawyer. So, haha. And so, thank you, brother. But there's a moral to be learned from that story, which is you can be arguing with someone who's totally full of crap, which he was, but you should be listening anyway because some words of wisdom may accidentally come out of their mouth, and they did. And fortunately, I was listening, and fortunately, I took his advice because it did change my life in a positive way. Um, then a year or two or three after that, after I became an attorney as well, life presented me with an interesting healing experience. I Opportunity. I One of my aunts, one of my mother's sisters died, and I went to the funeral. And when I went to the funeral, there were two young boys there, brothers. One was about 9, one was about 6. The one who was 9 was crying uncontrollably. The one who was 6 was standing by himself, stone cold, dumbfounded look on his face. Just like I was when my mother died when I was 8. I didn't cry. I didn't know what to make of it, all that kind of thing. So I looked at him and I said, "That's me." You know how they tell you in therapy that you want to talk to your inner child? Well, not only did I get to talk to him, I got to go hug him because he was standing right there, right in front of me. And I told him, I said, "I'm your cousin. I'd never met him before. And I know exactly how you feel." This was their grandmother who died. "I know exactly how you feel. You don't know what to think. You don't know what to feel. You don't know how life's going to go on. And it's okay to cry." And I put my arms around him and I did not let go until he cried. And that's what I needed somebody to do for me 20 something years earlier, but nobody did. And nobody knew to do that. Nobody noticed it. And to be honest with you, that was 1967. People weren't sending kids to therapy back in 1967.
Mm, yeah.
Um, so, so that was good. And then to make it even better, there was an older Orthodox gentleman at the funeral who out loud in front of 20 or 30 people said, "What are these kids doing at this funeral? Kids don't belong in cemeteries." He evidently thought that was a bad idea. Well, not only did I get to embrace my inner child, I got to defend him too. I turned to that gentleman and I said, "That was their grandmother. If there's anybody that belongs here at this funeral, it's those two kids. And if anybody that doesn't belong at this funeral, it's you. You can leave right now." And he shut up and he did not say another word. So that was very satisfying for me. And all the tears that didn't come out at my mother's funeral came out at that funeral.
Mm.
So it was interesting how life presented me an opportunity to heal. So thank you, life. And so then I'm graduated from when I was in law school is when I got to be my biggest, about 367 again, like in the picture. Um, my last year in law school, I said I'm going to get in shape. So I lost about 100 pounds with Weight Watchers, and I didn't do it properly. I didn't learn healthy eating. I didn't learn anything about nutrition. All I learned was portion control, and it worked. I worked. I looked better for a while. I got small enough where women were interested in dating me, And I wound up marrying one of them, still married to her, been 25 years. And but I also went back to my old habits over time, more gradually this time, slowly. And I started putting the weight back on. Um, I formed my own law and accounting practice. Um, as I was approaching 50, 4 months before my 50th birthday, I was 320 pounds at the time. Not my full max of 367, but I was still a pretty big boy. I'm only 5'7". And I woke up and I said, first of all, it was February 1st, 2009, not January 1st. February 1st, because I had made a New Year's resolution that I was going to get in shape. But like so many people, I blew it.
Mm.
But February 1st came and I said, not too late. So I said, where am I going to be in 5 years if I keep doing what I'm doing? And I didn't like the answer
Mm.
because the answer was dead. And guess what? I didn't want to be dead. So I said, I'm going to learn to eat better starting right now. Not tomorrow, not next week, not next year, right now. I'm going to start walking every day if I can, depending on how my legs feel, right now. And I did. I started. I did four things. First thing was I immediately quit drinking alcohol. I don't know if I was an addict or not, but I was drinking every day, and the alcohol was not serving me, I was serving it. So I believe in symbolism. I took my last bottle of scotch, poured it down the toilet, hit flush, gone. And haven't had a drink in 17 years. Then soda pop, 2 liter bottles. I was drinking three of them a day, but they were diet caffeine free. So surely they were healthy, right? I
Mm.
mean, that's what the soda companies say. Well, they're not healthy. I took my last bottle, poured it down the toilet, hit flush, gone. Haven't had one in 17 years. Don't miss it. And now what's interesting is, let's talk about addiction for just a moment. I actually did not find it that hard. Once I made up my mind,
Mm.
I actually did not find it that hard to quit drinking, and I did not find it that hard to quit the soda pop. And the reason I say that's the case is because I was not physically addicted to those substances. I was emotionally addicted. I wanted them. They were my lovers. They were my friends, but I was not physically addicted. Compare that to someone who might be addicted to cigarettes where there's nicotine withdrawal,
Mm.
or
Mhm.
someone who might be addicted to heroin where they're going to go detox and they're going to get the shakes and everything else. That's different. That's a lot harder. So, but it turned out it wasn't that hard, believe it or not, once I made up my mind. Um, and I also quit eating beef and pork. I said I'm going to stop eating red meat because I want to make some dietary changes as I'm trying to improve my body. And I liked chicken and turkey, so it was no big deal for me to give those two things up. And so I started doing that, and then I decided to start walking. And in the beginning, I could only walk 2 or 3 blocks. And I live at the top of a steep street. So coming home, it was always huffing and puffing to get back
Mm.
up to the house. And but I learned to do it. And then I found a gym that had a pool in it that was open 24 hours. And I would go there early in the morning and I would walk laps in the pool for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, building up to it with the goal to build up to a 5 hour pool walk on my 50th birthday. And I did it. I made it. And by my 50th birthday, which was about 4 months into the process, I had lost about 50 pounds. And I kept going. And then I started walking outside and I slowly got better and better. And then after about 4 years or so into that, 4 or 5 years into that, I decided to give up chicken and turkey. I wanted to make another dietary change. I figured it would help me out. and I never liked fish. So, but I still ate eggs and cheese, that dairy. So essentially, I went vegetarian. From the minute I went vegetarian, I've only been sick one time,
Wow.
and that was for 3 days. 12, that's over 12 years ago. One time for 3 days, and I did three in a row. And I define sick as if I have a day where I can't walk 2 hours or more a day, I'm sick.
Mm,
That's how I define it. Because if you go back then, I've walked every day at least 2 hours, except for those 3 days since the day I went vegetarian. So the lesson I learned from that is nutrition does make a difference.
mm.
But I learned something else. I kept going for another 4 or 5 years. And by that time, I was walking, you know, 10 to 15 miles every day. This is a person who can only walk 2 or 3 blocks
Right.
in the beginning, walking 10 to 15 miles every day and feeling pretty good, but I could not get my weight below 180 pounds,
Mm,
no matter what I tried. And it wasn't stable. It'd be 180, 190, 200, 190, 180, 190, 195, 200. It'd go back and forth. So I said, I'm doing something wrong here. So I said, I analyzed what I was eating, talked to a couple of people, did some research, and I said, I'm going to try eliminating dairy. So I quit eating butter, cheese, and ice cream. Well, I lost 50 pounds in like 5 minutes.
wow.
I mean, I'd get on the scale every morning, pound loss, pound loss, pound loss, pound loss, pound loss. It was an exciting time. Um, when you're doing that. And I literally melted, seriously. So since that time, that's been almost 8 years ago, I've been vegan.
Mm,
And then I've refined it since then to the point where I don't even eat processed food anymore. Things like, you can get vegan meats, vegan hot
mm,
dogs, vegan cheeses, and stuff like that. I don't even eat those. I want only natural, healthy food going into my mouth, into my body. And like I said, since I've done that, I've not been sick. I even got exposed to COVID one time. My wife went on a trip and she caught it in the airport and brought it home. The minute I picked her up at the airport and she got in the car, my body immediately felt it. I was that sensitive. I knew something was off. I told her, "You're sick." And for 2 days, I felt like I was 75%, but I still did my walking. I still did everything, but I felt off. And then my body threw it off and I was back to normal. So I got exposed to COVID because of my I like to say because of my nutrition,
mm.
because of my healthy habits. My immune system was so strong, it threw off COVID. Now, I also had the vaccine that didn't hurt, but still, my body threw off COVID. So I'm a big believer in what we put in our mouths.
Mm-hmm.
But I have an expanded definition of diet. Diet is not just the food we put in our mouth, it's the thoughts we put in our head,
Mm,
it's the environment we create around ourselves, it's the people we associate with, it's the things we do, it's all those things, you know. So I work hard to create an environment I've created an environment around myself that I believe is very positive, very empowering, very uplifting, very joyful. Um, and that's where I'm at. So,
wow.
so the question is, what did this experience teach me? Well, it taught me two things and led me to ask myself a question. First thing it taught me was that if I could lose 220 pounds, 102 kilos, and keep it off, if I could go from a person who walks 2 to 3 blocks a day to a person who walks 10 to 15 miles every day. I mean, last year alone, I walked 5,500 miles just last year.
Wow.
That's Imagine I started in Los Angeles. I almost made it to London.
Mm.
I ended up in the middle of the Atlantic, but since I can swim, I was okay. But so it taught me I'm more powerful than I ever imagined. I mean,
Hmm.
think about that. I've done all these things. I still haven't discovered my limits yet. Every year, I'm pushing myself a little bit to see what my limits are. And then I said to myself, if I'm more powerful than I ever imagined, so is everybody else. So
Yeah.
if you're listening, here's a message for you. You are more powerful than you ever imagined. And once you learn to believe that, once you realize that, once you learn to believe that, it opens up all these doors. And for me, it led me to ask an important question. And that question was, if I'm capable of doing all these things, what else is out there waiting for me to do that I haven't done yet that I should be doing? The answer I came up with was figuring out a way to help thousands of people, hundreds of
Mm.
thousands of people, millions of people. I like to dream big. So that's what I'm working on now because I'm at a stage in my life. I'm 66 and I feel like I'm 30, 35. I really do. And I mean, I just had my physical 3, 4 weeks ago. I'll put my blood work numbers up against any 30-year-old and they'll probably beat them. Um, and I don't know too many people who can do what I do physically.
Yeah.
Um, in that regard, I'm sure there are people who can do more. There are. I mean, the Olympics are on right now. I'm sure those people can kick my butt. But but the point is, I can do these things. So I said, how do I turn this into a system that other people can use, a universal system that other people can use for in whatever way they want to, for whatever it is they want to do. You know, you want to quit drinking. Here's the system. You want to, you want to quit smoking. Here's the system. You want to just be more successful. Here's the system. You want more balance in your life. Here's the system.
Mm.
You want to be happier. Here's the system. So I created what I like to call a human operating system. Think of it as Windows 11, Mac OS, Android, Linux for how to be a better human being, how to be an excellent human being. So I said, I'm a systems thinker. My business career as an attorney and a CPA, I've been paid my whole career to take complicated things and make them simple.
Mm.
So I said, how do I take this complex game of life and turn it into something simple? So I started thinking, during all that time walking, you can do lots of thinking.
Yeah.
And I said, what's the goal of the system? Well, I realized the goal is not perfection. The goal is excellence. Let me explain the difference. When you're a perfectionist, the only thing that satisfies you is being perfect. But there's a little secret I'm going to share with you. There are no perfect human beings.
Mm. Hmm.
You are not perfect. You are not going to be the first. Trust me, I tried and I got pretty close, but I didn't make it. I used to say I was a 367-pound perfectionist. How's that for a little irony? But perfection is not the way to go. Instead of being a perfectionist, I became a good enoughist.
Mm.
Good enough is good enough. But there's a little secret about being good enough. Just because you're good enough and everything's okay doesn't mean you can't be better. It doesn't mean you shouldn't try to be better. Those things are okay. That's what excellence is. Excellence is always looking to get a little better, always looking for that level higher, that level deeper, that level beyond, you know, but not beating yourself up over the head if you don't get there, not punishing yourself.
Mm. Yeah.
you know, instead being kind to yourself. So I said, okay, let's turn this into a system. What are we going to call it? It's about excellence. I was channeling Bruce Lee at the time. So I decided to call it the way of excellence.
Uh,
Um, Little Buddhist, spin there. The way of excellence. And I said, what are the qualities of an excellent human being? Over time, I came up with 20. And I feel like it's a pretty comprehensive list because it's been years since I've discovered any situation in life that can't be handled by this system. Now, here's what it looks like on paper. It's called the
oh,
way of
wow.
excellence. The way of excellence. If you notice, it's a nice color-coded chart.
It is.
Everything lines up. You can see how anal I am. This is the accountant who, who created this thing. And number one in the system, thing you need to have to get started, tell yourself the truth. That day on
Mm,
February 1st, 2009, that's what I did. I told myself the truth. If I don't do something, I'm going to be dead. But that was not the first time I'd told myself the truth. The difference was not only did I tell myself the truth, I acted on it.
yeah.
You got to act on it. You don't act on it, not going to get anywhere. And then the second thing I did was I realized that this is a long-term game I'm playing. Life is a long-term game.
Hmm.
You don't try to do everything immediately. Try to put systems in place, things in place that are going to last me for the rest of my hopefully very long, hopefully very happy, hopefully very healthy life.
Hmm.
Then I took personal responsibility. I stopped blaming my mother for dying when I was 8 years
Mm,
old. I stopped blaming my father for not teaching me how to eat properly, for not getting me counseling. And while I was at it, I stopped blaming myself. And you know why? Because blame is non-productive.
yeah.
Blame is irrelevant. Blame does not solve problems. If you're a politician in Washington, please take that to heart. Blame does not solve problems. What solves problems is identifying what needs to be done and then doing it.
Hmm.
So that's what I started doing. I didn't punish myself, didn't beat myself up. But once again, we're not perfect. There are no perfect human beings. You're going to make mistakes. Believe me, I made plenty of them. My process was not a straight line. It had zigzags, up, down, left, right, forward, backward. You name it, it was there. You're going to make mistakes. Mistakes are proof you're trying.
Mm,
The question is, when you make a mistake, are you going to quit, which is what I had always done in the past?
hmm.
Or are you going to say, well, I messed up. What can I learn from it? And I'm going to start again tomorrow. See, that's the trick to any kind of success. Starting and never stopping.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perseverance. And perseverance, that's number 11 in the system. Just get going and never stop, never stop, never stop. Now, backtracking, number 6 in the system. All these things sound like things you have to do, right? You have to do this, you have to do that. Well, I came up with a different perspective. I said, I don't have to do anything. I get to do these things.
Mm,
I am breathing. I am alive. It is my privilege to do these things. It is my privilege to eat healthy. It is my privilege to exercise every day. And you know what taught me that? I learned it by accident. I learned it from a woman I had met 2 years earlier named Peggy Chun. I met her in 2007. She lived in Honolulu. When I met her, Peggy had Lou Gehrig's disease. She was completely bedridden on a ventilator, could not speak, could not move. The only way she could communicate, trained people would hold up an eye chart and they could read her eye movements so she could spell words.
mm,
And I interviewed her for a book I was writing, where I was going around the country. I was going to interview 50 people. She was one of the first. She was the first or second person I talked to. And when I saw her, The thought that went through my mind was, if I ever get like that, please put a pillow over my head and take me out. I don't want to be here. Well, that was not her attitude.
Mm.
Her attitude was, my grandkids are coming over later today. We're going to go out to the park. It's a beautiful sunny day and we're going to paint and we're going to play together. She said, you're getting ready to go around the country and interview these 50 people? That sounds like so much fun. Tell me about these people. Who are they? I wished I could go with you. So when I was starting out on my process 2 years later, whenever I had a morning I didn't feel like getting out of bed or walking, instead of saying, what would Jesus do? As the saying goes,
Hmm.
I said, what would Peggy Chun do if she could? And the answer is Peggy Chun would have gotten her lazy butt out of bed and she'd have gone for a walk and she would have had so much fun she might not ever come back
Yeah.
if she could have. So every time I didn't feel like walking, I said, this one's for you, Peggy. And I got up and I went and I walked anyway. So she is a person I will remember for the rest of my life.
Amazing.
You know, it's been almost 20 years. Still remember her like it was yesterday.
Mm.
Then, since balance is in the title of your podcast, let's talk about balance for a minute.
All right.
Do you have a definition for balance? If you do, I want to hear it, but if not, I'm going to give you one.
I don't necessarily have a definition of balance because I think it's different for each person.
Well,
It's,
I'm
what
about,
balance means for them.
I know, I'm about to give you a universal definition of balance that will
Okay. All
apply to
right.
anybody.
Yeah.
Yours for free. I learned this in a Tai Chi class. Balance is identifying everything that's deficient and increasing it, identifying everything that's excessive and decreasing it. That's
Mm.
balance. If you have too little of something, increase it. Too much of something, decrease it. Me going to eating too much crappy food, well,
Mm.
stop eating crappy food. Not
Yeah.
eating enough healthy food, start eating healthy food. Sitting on my butt too much, stop that. Start walking, increase it.
Hmm.
That's how you, and balance is not something you find, balance is something you create.
Yeah.
It
Absolutely.
is it is something you consciously, intentionally create. And I have been able to create, I've been fortunate. I've been able to create a very balanced life for myself. Now I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to jump through, giving you the quick overview. What if I asked you, I'm asking you now, what do you think are the three most important words in the English language? Just take a stab.
Ooh.
Take a
Wow.
stab.
That's a really great question. What are the three, was it three most important words?
Yeah, most important words in the English language.
I really don't know.
That's fine. That's fine. I used to say they were more I love you. I used to say
Okay.
those are the three most important words.
All
Well,
right.
I've changed my mind. I think the three most important words in the English language are you willing?
Mm,
Are you willing to do what it takes for the rest of your hopefully very long, hopefully very happy, hopefully very healthy life? Because if you are, incredible things await you. And if you're not going to get anywhere. You have to be willing.
yeah.
But as we said before, you don't have to do anything. You get to do these things. So if you're breathing, you get to be willing. It's an opportunity. And then there's belief. If you believe you can do something or you don't believe you can do something, either way, you're going to be right.
Oh, yeah.
So start believing you can. I've told you, you're more powerful than you ever imagined. Believe it. Just take it on a leap of faith. Believe me. Trust me. You can do those things. And then all these things sound a little tough. I'm going to jump to number 19 real quick. I'm going to make it easier. Commitment. When you become 100% committed to a thing, it becomes easier, much easier. For example, I am 100% committed that only healthy food is going to enter my mouth.
Hmm.
A week ago, we were out walking. One of my neighbors brought out some key lime pie that she had made. And me and my wife said, Stanley, I know you're probably not going to eat it, but she asked my wife if she wanted it and she took it. The thought of eating that pie never entered my mind. I never even asked myself the question, could I eat this pie? Because I could. I mean, if I had at this point, if I had a piece of pie, I don't think it would derail me. I don't think it would kill me. But the reality is, I have no business eating that piece of pie. I've already eaten my lifetime share of pie
Mm,
and your lifetime share of pie and probably 20 other people's lifetime share of pie. I have no business eating it. It's not going to serve me. It's not going to get me to where I want to be, which is to live a very long, very happy, very healthy life. I have plans and I want to stick around a long, long, long time. And, Christmas, somebody gave me gourmet cupcakes and cuppies, cook, cupcakes and cookies. And I the thought of eating them never entered my mind. I have a neighbor who lives down the street. She's very skinny. She likes that kind of stuff. Gave it to her. She was appreciative. Everybody was happy. Never ate it.
hmm.
I'm walking every day. I don't ask myself, do I want to walk today? Because if I ask myself, do I want to walk today, I'm going to have days where I don't want to do it.
Sure.
That's tough. Doesn't matter whether I want to do it or not. I am a person who walks every day.
Hmm.
Period. End of story. I'm 100% committed to doing that. So I do that. It makes it easier because you stop asking questions and you just start doing who you are and what you are. So all of these things I'm talking about, they're all available on all this information is available on my website for free. It is my
Amazing.
way, it is my way of giving back to people. I'm very fortunate. I've had a very good life. I'm in a very good situation. I can give away to people for free. Now, if people want to work with me, privately, they're welcome to hire me. I mean, it's not that I don't love money. I do, but I don't want money to get in the way of where you are and what you want to be. So it's thewayofexcellence.com. The way
And
of,
I'll have and I'll have the link in the show notes as well
thank you.
for people to easily click on. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, okay. Here's what I recommend that people do. People say, do I need to walk as much as you do? Do I need to eat like you do? Or I'm just getting started. First of all, bear in mind, I am in the 18th year of my process. When I started out, I wasn't the way I am now. It has been an evolution. It's an ongoing evolution. I'm continuing to evolve. But if you want to get started, I recommend four things for you. The first one is eat less processed food and more
Mm,
natural food. Less. I'm not telling you never eat McDonald's, never eat Burger King, never eat Kentucky Fried Chicken, never eat a frozen pizza or whatever. I'm just saying less of it. Eat more natural, healthy food. Quit eating 4 or 5 hours before you go to bed. That's a tough one for some people. Don't snack at night. Don't take your food to bed with you because what happens is if you will go 4 or 5 hours without eating before you go to bed, and then you sleep for 6, 7, 8 hours, you will go 12, 13, maybe 14 hours without eating.
mm,
And that gives your body time to process the food you've already eaten. It starts a process in your body known as autophagy, where it cleans out your cells and helps make you healthier, better, and stronger. Give your body time to process what you have. Walk at least 20 minutes a day. Doesn't have to be fast walking. I walk at 2.25 miles an hour. I walk slow, but I walk and I walk and I walk and I walk. 20 minutes a day. And if you can't do 20 minutes, do 10. If you can't do 10, do 5. Get started. Remember, when I started, I can only do 2 or 3
hmm.
blocks.
Yeah.
Get started. Keep going. 20 minutes a day. That's what you want to shoot for. If you can do more, that's great too, but shoot for 20. Then last, set aside 15 minutes a day to yourself. Can be in a quiet chair. You can meditate. It can be while you're outside walking, but 15 minutes a day. And during that time, you can use it however you want. You can pray if you want. You can just be quiet time. You can meditate if you know how to, or you want to learn how to. Or I recommend you go to my website, thewayofexcellence.com. I have videos on the whole system. Each one of the concepts is a video that's 8 to 12 minutes long. Watch the video. It's a great way to spend that 15 minutes. And if you do that over the course of a month, you will have gone through the whole system. You'll have learned the whole system and you can start applying it into your life. And it'll really help you. And I have 9 books on the site, all available for free if you want to do digital download on them. Um, and all kinds of things designed to help you figure out who you are, what you want to be, where you want to get, how to get there, all designed to help. And I do that because the mission is more important
Mhm.
than the money. Because the problem is we live in a short-term world where everything is instant gratification given to us by people who want to make money off of us. And the problem is what they're selling us is not always in our best interest. And the solution is not to get them to stop selling that stuff. The solution is for us to stop buying it.
Hmm.
The solution comes from within us.
Yeah,
And that's how you make your life better. That's how we collectively make our world better. And that's how we
amazing.
embrace balance and discover joy.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. And I love that you just, have these offerings on your website for free for people to gain the all of the insights that you've gained over the years and sharing and giving that back to others and helping others uh, create that same transformation is just amazing. And I see behind you on the wall, it's a big blown up size of your way of excellence. I love it.
Okay. Can I tell you something funny about it?
Sure, yeah.
I was looking at the chart the other day and I noticed something on the chart. One word on the chart is misspelled.
Oh.
And I looked at it and I went, oh man. And I said, should I redo the chart? I've got 2 of those. They cost me about $100 each. Should I redo the charts? Should I correct it in all my books? Should I correct it on my website and everything? And I thought about it and I said, no. That's because the system is the way of excellence. It is not the way
Hmm.
of perfection.
Yeah, I love it.
Good enough is good enough. Somebody reading it will know what I said.
Yeah.
Good enough is good enough. That was it meant to be there. I
Hmm.
subconsciously yet intentionally put it there. It belongs there. It makes the
Yeah,
system better as it is.
absolutely.
So I left it.
Awesome. I love that. I love that because you're right. Your message is excellence, not perfection. So the fact that you've left it in there makes total sense and aligned with sort of your messaging. I love it.
Yeah. Practice what I preach.
Exactly. Oh, well, thank you so much today, sharing all of this information with us. It's just, I love, just thank you for sharing your journey. And I love what it is that you're doing, the system that you've created and that you're sharing with everyone to help them. And I love just sort of where you started with it was that decision that you made, right? That February 1st, that you made that
Yeah.
choice and look at what has become of that. So thank you again for being with me today. Any last final words of wisdom for our audience before we completely wrap today?
Yes, you've got this. This is your time. Go for it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for your time today and for sharing all this with us.
Thank you for having me.
I invite you to subscribe to the Embrace Balance Discover Joy podcast and join our community. If you feel inspired by what you hear, please leave a review and share this podcast with others who might benefit. And remember, it's never too late to embrace balance and discover joy in your life. Stay tuned for our upcoming episodes filled with inspiring stories and valuable insights. Until next time, take care and be kind to yourself.